Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by Good Marketing and Wagoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So the city of East Lansing, Michigan has undergone a major transformation in the past decade, east from Hannah Plaza and the Hub, through downtown's Landmark and Abbot projects, and west to Skyview and Red Cedar. Some say that's enough, but others say more is needed. And here to discuss another project downtown called The Howard is the Chief Executive Officer of Harbor Bay Ventures, Mr. Mark Bell. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah, so for those not familiar, what does Harbor Bay do, and what kind of projects tend to be your specialty?
Sure. Harbor Bay is predominantly a ground-up focused development firm. We develop various asset classes, including but not limited to housing, industrial, hospitality, hotel. We develop across the country. We are based in the Midwest with offices in Chicago and Cleveland, Ohio. And we've been since 2013 developing in various construction typologies, low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise. But in 2018, we entered the mass timber residential space, which we're one of only probably 3 or 4 developers in the country that really do that particular product type. We've got one completed in Ohio, a second under construction in Ohio, and projects throughout the country in our pipeline, including East Lansing, Michigan.
Right on. So talk about that. You're not a stranger to East Lansing. You've already got a development project already occupied. Talk a little bit about what you've built here already for those who know the area.
Sure. I guess our entry into East Lansing starts with the Bauline family, who is relevant to the discussion today because they own the bookstore that's been there for over 6 decades. Our entry into East Lansing back in probably 2017, I think it was also with the Bauline family, and we developed what was or is called the Center City project, consisting of the Target. It's on Grand River, Landmark on Grand River atop that. Then as you go northbound over to Albert Avenue, you've got a retail that has the likes of Jolly Pumpkin, Barrio, Foster Coffee, then a parking garage atop that. And then atop that, on the top of the wedding cake, so to speak, is Newman Lofts, which is a independent senior living project that we built.
Got it. Okay. So you've got that's mixed use, about as mixed use as you can get. Overall, how successful has that project been?
We think it's been very successful. I mean, obviously mixed use needs to be done very carefully with a good attention to detail, design, engineering, so on and so forth. But the project is fully occupied, and I think that the retail was a good mix and versatility of national with Target, but also supplemented with local and regional companies like Jolly Pumpkin, Barrio, and Foster Coffee, which we specifically kind of procured and curated into the overall mix.
Well, you've done a really nice job. Those are all really powerful brands that I personally frequent, and I appreciate that. Before I tee you up for this next question, I want to thank our friends at Wagoner Financial. Whether you're just starting out, planning for retirement, or anywhere in between, Wagoner is here to help you make smart financial decisions. They offer comprehensive, customized planning from investment strategies and tax solutions to insurance, accounting, and estate planning. Wagoner is dedicated to supporting you, your family, your business, and your future. Using their unique team approach and maximizing each member's specializations, they ensure that there is someone who will have an answer to your question and is ready to help. Schedule a consultation by visiting wagoner-financial.com or give them a call at 517-853-3367. So, Mark, you've obviously learned a bunch with that mixed-use project we were just discussing. And obviously you want to replicate the things that worked really well and try to avoid the things that weren't as successful as you'd like. Can you share a little bit with our audience what Ordinance 1384 is in the city of East Lansing, what it requires, and why maybe that time for that ordinance has passed?
Sure. Ordinance 1384 originated in 2016, I believe was the date. So call it 10 years old. And effectively, what that ordinance tried to achieve or is trying to achieve is, quote, diversified housing as defined within that ordinance as either affordable housing, senior housing, or for sale condos. Effectively, how the ordinance works is that if a development is subject to that ordinance, 25% of the units must either be just that, affordable senior or for sale condos.
Right on. And why is that problematic?
It doesn't necessarily have to be problematic. I believe it is, because I think that if we just look at the data over 10 years, what has the dividends been from that ordinance? The answer is 91 units over 10 years have been produced. It was produced by Harbor Bay and the Ballline family vis-a-vis the Center City project. So we successfully were able to achieve that. But in my humble opinion, over a 10-year stretch, only 91 units of quote diversified housing, in my opinion, is an ordinance that I don't think is achieving what the desired initial outcome was set out to be.
Right. So, and you have that experience by having built high-rise 55 and older, essentially, housing, and that they didn't fly off the shelf. And then I think you mentioned in one of the presentations that I observed was that that's not the type of living maybe that demographic is looking for, that is better placed maybe somewhere else.
Well, I mean, listen, I think that this is a highly nuanced topic, but at the end of the day, for us personally, we believe that development is very hard. I mean, let's just face facts, right? Post-COVID,
yep.
Commodities are up 40%, labor's up 50%, insurance is up 75%, utilities are almost up 100%. So the cost of housing is extremely difficult to do, particularly in the post-COVID environment. We're building all across the country. And so the successes that we've had, and as an example, I'm actually in Michigan driving today, not to East Lansing, but to another city that I can't really disclose, but to do a project. And I think these projects really need effectively a partnership, not in a legal way, but in kind of a collaborative way with all cities to do what? What we really try to set out to do is try to make development as easy as possible. So code-based development form, right? Not make things too complicated. So getting back to your question of 1384, that just complicates development. When mandates are put on developers, it makes financing difficult, it makes construction difficult. And like I said, development is already difficult. So I think what happens then is it ultimately deters developments, and you go through periods of time where, in this particular case, a lack of housing has been built, which then causes shelter inflation and rents to rise because no supply is coming onto the market.
Got it. And I wanted to hit on that point next, actually. You talked a little bit about, well, I mean, obviously what you're looking to build at the Howard is almost exclusively student housing, if I'm not mistaken. And the immediate comments you get on social when this is all being, publicized on various social media outlets is, I can't believe that Michigan State needs more student housing. You talked about the lack of new supply and how that drives affordability of these units up or affordability down. Can you unpack that a little bit for the audience here as to kind of what has been going on in East Lansing because of the lack of the new units? And what evidence do you have that supports that we need these extra 700 or so units that are being proposed?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but I guess first and foremost, there's a little bit of a unfortunate stigma or perhaps negative connotation as relates to quote student housing. The reality is that under federal fair housing, student housing is not a quote protected class,
yep.
Right? So the reality of this development is it is market rate housing. Now, I won't lie, the interior design in the building is built for what I would call a younger demographic, but that's not to say by any stretch of the imagination that an individual who is 22 to 30, a recent grad, we're seeing evidence in this in the likes of Ann Arbor or Madison or Chapel Hill or Austin, very well should be living at this building in addition to, yep. Right? And so that's the ecosystem that we're trying to create. The average age in East Lansing is 21 years of age. That's via the comprehensive plan as noted from the city of East Lansing, right? So I think we have to be cognizant of what is the most dominant demographic within the city of East Lansing, be honest about it, and then be okay developing projects that will, within reason, be structured and targeted toward that demographic. Number two, we look at supply and demand. The properties in downtown have risen rents by an average of rents, or in some cases 13% year over year. That's by far higher than the national average. But you want to look at shelter inflation, just like, and you like look at inflation, about 3%, maybe 2% growth. So when we're talking about double-digit growth year over year, so let's just math. Apartment costs $14 today. Next year, it's going up $140 per month. That is not sustainable. So what that tells us is just basic supply and demand, that housing needs to come into the market to help stifle that type of shelter inflation. If we look at the state that's come into East Lansing just in the last 6 years, the answer, generally speaking, is zero. There has been zero housing in the last 6 years that has come into East Lansing. Now, you've noted, I think at the beginning of the call, you noted that, some of the things like Skyview or the stuff over on Red Cedar, That's not East Lansing, right? That's Lansing. And so I think what you see, generally speaking, from an economic standpoint, that could be even more problematic, depending on people's opinion on the subject matter, is that when the demand is not met, then the outskirts of East Lansing start to fill that demand, right?
Yep.
So a good urban real estate professional or urban architecture might say that the housing that arrived at Red Cedar never should have gone there, nor should the hotels. Would that be a better place to put that in downtown East Lansing in order to promote economic growth, taxes, jobs, urban density, so on and so forth, that would help the businesses? Again, that's an opinion, right? But one that a good urban design architect would say all day long.
Right. Yeah. Density instead of sprawl. No question. Makes a lot of sense. You mentioned earlier, let's talk about the space. Now, you mentioned the student bookstore. And then for those who are not familiar, I guess at the corner, you had the Starbucks that actually closed up shop. And then in between, you had a no-tie, food restaurant. So you have this corner lot that is a single story that is now vacant. And this is the space that you want to go tall on to create that density instead of sprawl. And you're trying to get approvals to build what you want to build. I guess first and foremost, what exactly do you want to build, and where are you at in the process with the city to get the approvals that you need?
Sure. In short, we're looking to build a 12-story gold LEED mass timber building. And notice how I kind of emphasize gold LEED certification and mass timber. In perspective, the amount of those buildings, right, the intersection of gold LEED certification, which is tough to achieve in high-rise residential, coupled with mass timber, there are only 2 buildings in the entire country that achieve that intersection.
Wow.
One of the buildings is in Portland, Oregon. The second building is in Cleveland, Ohio, which we built, right? So what we're at the precipice of doing, both on a national level, but on a regional level in Michigan, and there's lots of different subset narratives, including labor, which is a big deal, and the forest industry, just industry in general, which is a $27 billion GDP in the state of Michigan, is trying to revolutionize how we build housing. So these are sometimes, perceived as perhaps hyperbolic speech, but literally, I'm driving to another city right now in Michigan to have this conversation because we believe that this type of building for East Lansing allows East Lansing to be a leader on a global stage. And what does that leadership really mean? It means, how do we build ultra sustainable buildings through a different lens of labor, through a different lens of what construction and sustainability really mean? It allows us to look at things just differently, right? Because right now, a narrative which is occurring in East Lansing, which is truthfully no different than in any other city in the country. What do most cities want? They want affordable housing, right? We all want it. But how do we achieve it? That's where the debate is.
Yep.
And where we are trying to push at Harbor Bay is saying we want to push into technology, and we want to push how to innovate construction. What we don't like, and this is just our humble opinion, is the government subsidizing affordable housing. Now, why don't we like that? Well, take for instance, and I don't know this company, so I have nothing bad to say about them, but PK Companies has a site in downtown East Lansing that is slated to be affordable housing. It's like 99 units. That's, I think, adjacent to the MSU FCU building.
Yep.
As far as I can understand it, they are now 2 years with four applications denied by the state of Michigan for LIHTC housing. Okay, so they need tax credits and government funding in order to do that. So they've now spent 24 months waiting and hoping and applying, and good efforts. It's a great company. This is what they do. But nonetheless, it's very difficult. And so that's not to say that Harbor Bay's answer is the answer, but more specifically, what we want to do is we say, hey, we want to, again, insert technology and innovative construction to do what? To build buildings at a reduced cost and to provide precedence for laborers, architects, engineers, developers to build these buildings, in this instance, not out of steel and concrete, but out of wood. What does that do? Simple, Chris, is that when we look at developments, take every dollar of development dollars that we spend. Generally speaking, 66 cents is labor, 33 cents is materials, right? So how do we build cheaper? We have to reduce labor. Now, that's not reducing wages. Wages stay the same. We are simply building this building with less bodies on the site. So we're not reducing wages. We're paying people a good wage, but we're building this building, which is basically, again, out of mass timber, which is, think of it just in layman's terms, is like a Lego set. Okay, it just goes up very, very quickly because everything is prefabbed out of a manufacturing facility with a domestic partner down in Alabama. We can talk about that versus international production. Allowed to attack affordable housing through a different lens that doesn't involve the government.
Right on. Sounds logical to me. Well, as we kind of get to the finish line here, I want to thank our friends at Keller Williams. We all need a place to call home, and Chris Silker of Keller Williams Advantage and Team offers the expertise that you're looking for. He's helped clients navigate the complicated world of real estate in mid-Michigan for over 10 years, providing the best information possible at the best time to empower the best decisions. Whether you're a first-time home buyer looking for a local expert to guide you from point A to point B, searching for an income property in the competitive Lansing market, right-sizing your life, or simply searching for your dream home, Chris Silker and the Advantage and Team is a name to trust in Greater Lansing real estate. Visit advantageandteam.com or give Chris a call directly at 517-242-9251 to find the home of your dreams. So where do things stand? We're recording this in early July of 2026. I know you've done a lot of community outreach. I know the Planning Commission, City Council have all kind of seen your plans and heard what you're looking to do. Where do things stand? When do you think the gavel is going to be banged? And what's your optimism on this?
Yeah, simple. We have a city council meeting coming up on Tuesday, July 21st. That's following the June 16th city council meeting that we went to, which we were expecting to get site plan approval. For various reasons, they deferred to the July 21st meeting. So we are expecting, hopefully, site plan approval on the 21st of July. Assuming that happens, we would be putting a shovel in the ground as early as August.
Wow, fantastic! I'm bullish on this. I know that there are skeptics out there, but I applaud your tenacity. I know time kills deals, and the pace of play makes things either happen or they don't. So on behalf of my friends who want this to happen, I appreciate you sticking it out and giving East Lansing every opportunity to get you to the finish line. So I wish you nothing but the best. Is there any way that people can follow along or help advocate for and support your endeavors? Because it seems like the NIMBYs are the ones who tend to show up.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that everyone has an opportunity, in their lives to be leaders. I'm not trying to say that this project has to be the decisive variable. I mean, some people, probably don't care about the project, and I totally respect that, right? But I think that for me personally, and our firm, and on behalf of the Ballheim family, I truly believe this project is an opportunity to benefit locally, but also put East Lansing on the map literally globally, to how do we build buildings better, more sustainably, more prudently, more responsibly. I think that this building, yes, is going to be an economic catalyst locally, but then secondly, is going to be a case study that we can all study that together with MSU, who's got a mass timber division within the School of Planning, Design, and Construction, we can really model this and be a great precedent in how we build buildings better.
Right on. And how can people learn more about Harbor Bay overall? And is there a chapter in your website that talks about the Howard specifically, or is there another place where they can go to follow that?
Yeah, we've got a good comprehensive website, Chris, that people can find what we've done and various videos and so on and so forth. But we're mass timber enthusiasts. It's truly changed the trajectory of our company. And we're looking forward to bringing that to the state of Michigan, not only East Lansing, but in other parts, and teaching people about this great product.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for all you're doing. I appreciate you joining me. We've been speaking with the Chief Executive Officer at Harbor Bay Ventures, Mr. Mark Bell, about his East Lansing project that is proposed called the Howard. Stay tuned for the end of July, where we will find out when they can put shovels in the ground. I really appreciate you joining me here today, Mark.
Likewise. Thanks, Chris.
Yep. Safe travels out there. I'll be in touch with you as to how to find this recording so you can share it as well.
Perfect.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thank you. And I'd love to give a final shout out to all my loyal sponsors. We've got Wagoner Financial, Good Marketing, Triterra Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron, State Farm Insurance, and the attorneys at Foster Swift. All great people doing great work. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to invite you to follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined everywhere you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off for Michigan Reimagined.